All right. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Pastor Cisco here, and I have another special guest with me today. Her name is Lisa Hoge, and she is also a staff member at Element Church. Gosh, I've known Lisa and her family for many years now, and it's just a treat to be able to know Lisa and her family. Our daughters are pretty close, so that's kind of cool. But Lisa, why don't you tell us a little bit about, where you work, what you do for the church, and how you got involved there.
Okay, sure. Yeah, your family is like a second family to my daughter. So we've appreciated that relationship throughout the years. But yes, I am the business administrator. So I work in the business office, handling all of the finances, HR matters, payroll, insurance, all of those kind of not so ministry things. It really is a ministry, but a lot of times it can feel like maybe it's not so ministry oriented. But that is our ministry here, and we support and help the other departments and in their endeavors, and just try to be a support system for them.
Right on. Awesome.
Yeah, I got started actually as a volunteer many years ago. I started volunteering in the office for the church, and one thing kind of led to another. And as we grew, they kind of needed some paid help. So I just started off one day a week, and then that kind of led into a couple days a week, and actually kind of led into different positions to be where I am today.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. I didn't even know that. I didn't know that you started like one day a week. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's very
actually,
part-time.
yes, it was. Actually, when I very first started, it was helping out with the preschool ministry and kind of downloading their attendance files. And I would upload the photos when we had the photo IDs for volunteers, and just all different types of things there, making sure the rooms were stocked and supplied. And yeah, so.
That's neat. So what's really cool is that obviously the church was a lot smaller back then because, we only needed very, very part-time help. Now you have a whole department that you get to lead. And I'm sure it's been pretty cool seeing the church grow, over the years. What's been your favorite area of the ministry that you work in as the church has been growing?
Well, this is going to sound kind of boring, but my favorite thing about my job actually is just the routine of what we do.
Mhm.
There's certain things that we do every week, and for some people that could be so boring that you're doing the same thing every week. For me, there's a deadline. So checks have to get out by a certain day. Payroll has to be done by a certain day. And those are routine things that come up every week or every couple of weeks. And I like routine. I'm more comfortable behind the scenes. I'm more comfortable with steady. I'm more comfortable with predictability. That's why this interview makes me very nervous. But yeah, so those are the types of things that I enjoy and that are kind of inherent in the business office. Not that we don't get last minute requests or surprises sometimes or things of that nature, but in general, a lot of what we do is very routine, and it's a lot of the same things, and that's kind of part of my personality and what I enjoy. And I enjoy saving money and finding ways to always save the church money and how we can improve on things and be better stewards.
Well, you do a really good job of that. I can say firsthand, as somebody who's led in ministries here, there's been a few times where, some proposals or maybe something for spending has come across Lisa's desk, and she says, "Hey, have you thought about this?" Or "I don't know, maybe here's a different solution." And you're very helpful in that, Lisa. So that's huge, because as a church, we're a nonprofit, so people give and they give out of their generosity. So stewarding really God's money is a big part of your job. And one of the things I really appreciate about you and your team is you guys really, really take that seriously. But also too, it's tied to the overarching vision of the church. I love what you said before, is that like, yeah, your job may not seem like ministry, but really it is.
Mhm.
Maybe talk a little bit about that, like just your approach, where it's like, okay, at Element Church, our vision is loving God, loving people, creating experiences for life change, where people can find their place, fulfill their purpose, and grow with Christ. How does a business office support that vision?
The Bible talks and God talks a lot about money. And sometimes people can get the idea that it's not spiritual to discuss money matters, but God talks about money a lot in the Bible. So why shouldn't we? It affects and infiltrates our day-to-day living, and it's something that God is concerned with, and of course how it relates to our heart and our obedience. So I think it's a very important part of an individual's development and their walk with God. It's just a matter of the heart and a matter of obedience, and I love it.
That's
I
so,
love,
Lisa, that is awesome. I got to tell you something. There's a lot of people that watch these, and there might be some people that maybe deal with finance or business in their jobs that needed to hear that. So I know I kind of put you on the spot with that one. It wasn't one of our questions we talked about, but dude, that was such a great answer, and I know some people needed to hear that even in their own personal lives. So thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
And so tell us a little bit about just how did you come to know Christ yourself and become a Christian?
I was raised in a Christian home. My parents got saved when I was 3 years old. Uh, it was during the time when people would go door to door and invite you to church. And my older brother and sister were a part of a bus ministry that would come around and pick them up for Sunday school. And eventually that led to the pastor coming and talking to my parents and them going to church and getting saved. So I was about 3 years old when my parents were saved. So I was raised in a Christian home. I wasn't raised in a perfect home, because sometimes people can get that idea, especially people who got saved later in life. They think if you were raised in a Christian home, you just had this perfect, idyllic family life, and that's not always the case. My parents were very much opposites, so there was a lot of uh, there was some conflict in the home, but I was, we went to church Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Wednesday nights. I got baptized when I was 7 years old, and that's pretty much when that time when I think of my salvation
Yeah.
having begun, and it's a memory I have that's very clear and vivid, and so I was fortunate to be introduced to Christ by my parents.
That's so cool. That is really awesome. So most of your life you've walked with the Lord then, and that's really awesome, because everybody has a different story, and some of the time some of the people I get to talk to, it's like, wow, they had this conversion when they were in their teens or in their adulthood, but it's refreshing to hear that somebody that's in the position that you're in, that's stewarding a lot of the generosity that's coming. You've been walking with the Lord for a long time, and really were raised in a Christian home, and
I
that's
was,
really cool.
but I'm going to stop you right there, because I don't want to give the wrong impression either. I was raised in a Christian home, and I've known the Lord my whole life. But there was a period in time where I was not following the Lord. I wasn't doing what I knew to be right. I was just kind of pushing that aside. When I was, 19, I got pregnant. Got married. But to back up a little bit before that, our family had kind of been going through some trauma. My parents went through a bankruptcy. We went from living in a really nice, large custom home to us living in a single wide trailer out in the middle of a field in the middle of nowhere, like literally. There weren't enough rooms. My brother had to sleep on the couch. It was a very stressful time. I mentioned that, my parents got saved when I was about 3. That at that time when my dad got saved, he got delivered from alcohol, from a gambling problem, just general carousing, things of that nature. And when I was about 18 and all of this went down, as far as the bankruptcy and the move, and my parents stopped going to church, and my dad started drinking again. And that was the first time I had ever seen him drink, when I was 18. So
Wow.
there was a lot. I'm not trying to escape responsibility, because I knew right from wrong, and I knew when I was not following the Lord and what his best life for me would be. So I kind of took a step away from that and was just lost for a while, doing my own thing and trying to escape some of that stress that was going on at home and kind of the upheaval in our lives. So made some poor choices, entered into marriage at a really young age. I was 19, 20 years old by the time Jay was born, my son, and got divorced soon thereafter. So after that divorce, and after going through a lot of what I went through, my ex-husband had some drug addictions and other issues. It was a really rough time. And through all that, though, of course, I went back to the Lord. Not that I ever left him, but just wasn't following him, and realized I kind of needed to do and live life the way he had outlined. And that was going to work out better for me.
Wow.
So a lot of my love of working with money and managing money also comes from watching my parents suffer through a lot of things. And I had determined at a young age that I didn't want to go through the stress that they went through and that I saw them go through that was related to their finances.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a reverse teaching of what not to do, that I observed a lot growing up.
Wow. That is an incredible story, Lisa, because there's so much redemption in that story that you just shared. I just want to tell you, thank you so much for just being open and vulnerable, because there's a powerful testimony that you have. And we were talking before we started, and how your role is really behind the scenes, but even the behind the scenes people have such an incredible story. And I know that's going to bless somebody, and as a matter of fact, there's probably a lot of people that might be watching this right now that have a similar story, that maybe they've been walking with the Lord most of their life. They knew the Lord when they were younger, but maybe they've hit a season in their life where, kind of like things got tough, or maybe something, the way that they look at things got distorted because of other people. And maybe they've made some decisions in their life that they regret or that have been painful. What encouragement or advice can you give for people that are going through that right now?
I think just holding on to hope. My daughter will probably laugh, but I always tell her hope springs eternal. But it's a good reminder that, God wants good things for us. He loves us, and he has the best plan for us. And even if we veer from that plan, or we don't always make the best decisions, he still just loves us and is there for us, and he won't turn his back on us. And it doesn't mean that some wrong decisions, your life is over. He's the father of second chances and third chances and fourth chances and fifth chances, and it's never too late. As long as we're still alive and breathing, it's never too late. And I tend towards the negative, so those are things that I have to constantly remind myself about sometimes. But you just never know what can happen in life, and that includes the good stuff too. There's something good that's waiting for you right around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. That's so good. And again, just your testimony and where you're at now and your family now, and your marriage now is just living proof of like God's goodness
Yep.
in your life.
My husband, I have a wonderful husband, Dan, and we just had our 25th anniversary this past summer. So,
Man,
yeah.
that is so great. That is so great.
I was very blessed, and we've often had conversations that, if I didn't go what I went through with my first marriage, I don't know that I would. Well, number one, I probably wouldn't have met him at the right time. But I don't know that I would appreciate him as much as I do now,
Mm,
having gone through and experienced what I did in those early years.
right on. Wow. That's really profound. Thank you for sharing that. What a rich story you have. So outside of ministry, what keeps you busy? Do you have some hobbies and things you like to do for fun?
Well, I have a 5-year-old grandson, and it's been a lot of fun experiencing and going back to some of those things that I did with my children when they were little, because my children now are 21 and 30. So it's been a while since I've had little ones. So we enjoy it. Last night, we just took him to Cabela's to visit with Santa. So, it's just fun having a little one around again that you can experience some of those fun things with. So he keeps us busy. And, outside of that, um, normally I like to travel.
Yeah.
There's not been a lot of that going on
Mhm.
in quite some time, but normally my husband and I enjoy traveling. I enjoy nature, the outdoors. I like to go to flea markets and garage sales in season. I'm always out there bargain hunting. Those are a few of the things I enjoy.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. I was hoping you would talk a little bit about your love for outdoors, because I'll never forget. I guess this was last year. We as a staff, some of our staff and our ministry leads, we got away for a day and we went to a place. I think it was down south. And anyway, we were at this place and there was this pond, and it was an offsite meeting where we were just brainstorming about things for the church and casting vision. And there was this pond and a kayak, and so we were just having some downtime. And I turn around and there's Lisa in the pond kayaking around, and you were like the only person. It was cold too, if I remember correctly that day, or cold for me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at Lisa out there just going for it. So
It was beautiful. It was hard to resist.
well, Lisa, I got a couple of rapid fire questions before we end today. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right, here we go. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
All right, on. Okay, early riser or night owl?
Early.
hmm do you have a current favorite show?
I really don't. I watch a lot of HGTV. I like to watch, the befores and afters of home redos and makeovers. And I like to watch a lot of the House Hunters International, where they travel to different parts of the world and looking for housing. It's always interesting to me to see how people live in other parts of the world.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
so that's
That's fun.
probably my main channel. It would be more like a favorite channel, which would be probably
Okay,
TV.
fair enough. Fair enough. Do you have a favorite book outside of the Bible?
Uh, Gosh, I really enjoy reading, but honestly, I don't devote enough time to it. I do enjoy nonfiction better than I'm sorry, I enjoy fiction better than nonfiction. Um, I have a favorite poet, Robert Frost.
Robert Frost. All
Um,
right.
yeah, uh,
Awesome.
but yeah, I also enjoy biographies, autobiographies. Always
Mm,
love to hear other people's stories. I think those are very interesting.
very good. Yeah. And then if you could meet anybody, past or present, who would it be and why?
I would say, I mean, you might think this is kind of odd, but I would say Ben Franklin. I did read a biography about him, and he's just a very interesting person and so well-rounded. He was a writer, he was an inventor, he was a philanthropist. Uh, he, he just kind of amazes me. I know he has his flaws and things like that as well, but just all the different things he came up with. You know, he invented the bifocals and the lightning rods, and he started the first like lending library and fire departments, and you know, so I just think he had a lot of wisdom, and it would be interesting to meet such a
Yeah.
person. But
Oh,
he was also witty and funny too.
he would be fascinating. I mean, to think about, like, to just have even a few moments with him to just hear how he thinks, because obviously his mind was so expansive. He was ahead of his
Yeah,
time. So that's a
yeah,
good pick. That's a really
yeah.
good pick. Well, Lisa, thanks for hanging out with us today for a little bit. It's been a lot of fun, and so thank you for sharing your heart and even sharing some encouragement with us today. Any final words?
Um, Goodbye. Nice talking
To-
to you.
for sure. Thanks again,
And I
Lisa.
enjoy working with you so much, Pastor Cisco. And earlier, when you commented about our working relationship, I never have a problem working with you because we're both C's. So we see eye
That's
to eye
true. Yeah. Yes.
on a lot of
Yeah.
those things. It's very easy to work with you.
C-type personalities. Yes.
Right.
We definitely think alike. All right. Well, take care, Lisa. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Pastor Cisco.